Hello everybody, it's me GhostCritic, and I've got a big grin on my face this week because it was an amazing week of comics. I'm going to make this introduction pretty quickly, just to say I couldn't do a pick of the week. There was so much good stuff, I couldn't just single out one comic. So basically this week I'll be doing it in publishing company orders. So I'm going to start off with Marvel, then do DC, and then finish with all the independent titles. And that's going to be the way the review show goes this week. Okay, so let's kick off with Marvel. Only 2 books from them on my pull list this week, and even though it was an amazing week of comics this week, there's always one bad apple that has to upset the cart. And surprisingly, maybe it was Wolverine and the X-Men, issue 27. I'm not really sure what Jason Aaron's doing here. We're kind of continuing on with the Wolverine's half-brother Dog causing havoc in the Savage Land, where Wolverine is taking his students for a bit of a lesson in survival. And while it's got the makings of something really good, the kind of overall, oh, that's what it was all about, was kind of, well, it fell a bit flat. So you've got Dog, who's got this kind of crystal time travelling gadget, and he has brought along with him kind of these sentinel robot kind of deals. We've got kind of cowboys, and we've got cavemen. They're all giving our kids a bit of a hard time while Wolverine is trying to get out of a trap that Dog has left for him. And while they're dealing with all these kind of separate groups of baddies, so to speak, they're all dealing with their inner issues as well, which we keep getting tiny little flashbacks of their flight over to the Savage Island, which kind of shows Wolverine in a really different light than we normally see him, being kind of kind, nurturing, full of good advice, not the kind of feral, angry, badass loner that he often is portrayed as. So in a way, that bit is nice to see. But the whole kind of setup for Dog is a bit lackluster. You kind of get to the end of this and it's like, oh, he just wants to prove he's the better brother. But in fact, he ends up being 10 times worse and more like his father, who he despised and was beaten by. He becomes even worse than him. So it was kind of pat. It was kind of, oh, this is just so unoriginal that I just hope Aaron has got something in the bag that he's holding back for us to kind of lift this title back up, because it ain't doing it for me. And you know how much of a big fan I am of Wolverine and the X-Men. The art by Ramon Perez. Get this person off. There's a scene right at the very beginning where all the teachers are at the school for higher learning, and they're kind of discussing school stuff like they seem to always do at the moment. And the scene of them, it's so badly drawn. I hardly recognise Beast. Is that really what he looks like now? Oh my goodness. Bring back Bradshaw. Bring back Molina. Bring back Bocello. From this issue, I wouldn't advise picking this up right now. But that was literally the one bad apple of this whole week of comics for me. And we kick off with just a fantastic first issue. It's Guardians of the Galaxy! Issue 1, Bendis starts his story off proper after the .1 issue, where we kind of got the backup story and where kind of Peter Quill has come into the Marvel Universe, how he came about. And that was his alien dad doing the do with an Earth lady and then leaving her to go and fight galactic wars, and basically his dad is now King Spartax. And he's a big cheese in the galactical universe, and he's basically said to and let it be known that Earth is off limits. No one is to touch Earth. Let them evolve, let them become more technologically advanced as we are. Of course, this puts a huge big target for the baddies, because basically it is now, in a way, it's been left defenceless. Our Guardians of the Galaxy aren't allowed to go and help them out, but of course we kind of get the impression Daddy's setting him up somewhat, and knows that his son, who absolutely hates him, is going to do exactly the opposite and head off to Earth to look after it. And boom, there comes the Badoon, getting ready for an alien invasion, and the team come in. So we've got Gamora, we've got Groot, we've got Rocket Raccoon, of course, we've got Drax, and Iron Man turns up. I don't know how in continuity this is, but Iron Man's decided he's had enough of staying on Earth and being part of these huge Avengers teams. He's going to go off alone into space and earn another fortune for his Stark Industries company. I've been waiting so long for Marvel to do a really kind of big, kind of almost operatic sci-fi extravaganza, and I know this is what we're going to get here. Great setup by Bendis, really nice artwork by McNiven, action-packed, bit of plot in there, a little bit of humour between dad and son. Just a top title. Definitely go and pick up and try out Guardians of the Galaxy. And on to DC, where we had 3 books on my pull list. Oh, very good. And we kick off with Justice League Dark issue 18 and Jeff Lemire's finale to the death of Magic. Yes, while Constantine and the gang are trying to escape Epoch, and eventually do, Zatanna and Timothy Hunter are trying to break into Epoch to get them to escape. It's all a bit crazy, and hell is let loose of a huge magical nature. Zatanna's spells are hugely powerful, as is Timothy's, and they're all getting themselves in a little bit of a frenzy. And the thing is, they're not realising that Epoch actually has people inside it, and what they're doing is basically putting their lives in danger, to which Zatanna wakes up to, and not necessarily kind of switches sides, but she realises that what they're doing is wrong and they need to pull back and help these citizens out. And it's just too late now. Timothy's kind of army of mythical magical creatures, this is their kind of excuse to go full reign and fight back for their land that they have lost over the years. And so they're not thinking of stopping anytime soon. And it's up to Timothy's dad to save the day. A little interesting plot twist there from Lemire. Basically, yes, everything kind of gets tied up. It's a shame that we're leaving Timothy and his dad in this Epoch world. They're going to try and, you know, bring the two races together and help them build a better life. So we're not going to have them for a while, I guess, in the DC universe proper, which is a shame, because I really like Timothy Hunter as a character, and bringing him back into the DC universe was something I was really happy about and looking forward to. But hey ho, back in our DC universe, the gang is back. Madame Xanadu is back. She's not going to die. Black Orchid is no longer this huge monster. And basically it's time for Constantine to basically cut the ties with Argus and tells Trevor in no uncertain terms that, you know, you're not messing around with me anymore. You know, I'm my own man. I've got my team here and we're going to do what we need to do to just help the world in general. Obviously with their dark slant. It's interesting to see that Black Orchid joins the group, given that Trevor brought Black Orchid in to keep tabs on John Constantine. And of course Frankenstein is staying on the team, so for those of you who are upset about Frankenstein Agent of Shade dropping, you're still going to get your green goodness in this title, so it's well worth still picking up. Jeff Lemire's done a great job on this title, and I can't wait for the next story arc, which apparently has Swamp Thing in it. Something that's creeping ever closer to its last issue. It was iVampire issue 18. And you do have to wonder if there's going to be anyone left to survive till the last issue. I mean, people are dying left, right and centre. The portal between heaven and hell is established, and we've got Cain trying to bring back Lilith, Tig, who's trying to get her revenge on Bennett for her dad. The kind of Bennett's cronies have realised they've kind of been used by Bennett, because Bennett just wants to destroy the world and he's going to do it. And you just wonder what, how, what, but it's up to Cain, funnily enough, that sorts Bennett out. And while he does that, he gets the love of his life back, Lilith, which is such a shame, because, you know, obviously iVampire is finishing in issue 19, and you just wonder where those stories with Cain and Lilith could have gone. Of course, while all the madness is still going on, Deborah Dance is in there, still holding on for dear life, battling off everything, and we've still got a portal to close, which Constantine, funnily enough, who's in this title, doesn't really care about. All he's thinking about is, I'm going to lock the doors, let the House of Mystery zip off somewhere into another universe, another dimension, and let them sort it out, because it can't be stopped now. But the person who's going to maybe stop this comes from a very surprising place. Thought dead, but they come back in lots of nakedness, apart from a few wisps of hair, as you can imagine, to cover and her embarrassments. But again, iVampire, what a shame it's finishing. Thank you again to James Donnelly for getting me on this book, even if I did come on very, very late to it. I managed to get all the issues and was just thrilled to be reading this. But next month, it's gone. Finally for DC, on their Vertigo imprint, the Unwritten issue 47, and we go back to the Tommy Taylor story of him being in the underworld trying to save his girlfriend that he's actually forgotten to do. In fact, he's forgotten even who he is. But there are some mysterious figures who are there to give him a helping hand, so to speak. Before we get onto all that, the hilarious Paulie Bruckner as the Foul-Mouthed Rabbit just is my favourite character from the Unwritten. Every time he turns up, he is just... he's a terrible person. He really is. We get a little bit of story from when, just after the wave, when he was there escaping and how he survived and how he ended up in the underworld and how he's basically taken over the place from Orpheus, who may or may not, I don't know, still be alive. These are immortal beings after all. People are looking behind curtains of shining light and a bit surprised at what they see. And of course there's that final page. Ooh, did not see that coming, and what a shocker, what a brilliant cliffhanger to this great series. It's been very dark in this issue. Tommy, you kind of get the idea that he knows more than he's letting on, and this amnesia, forgetful memory, is basically a defense mechanism because he isn't really enjoying the life he's leading at the moment. Far too much pressure on his shoulders. So yeah, that was DC. Pretty darn good. And so on to the independents, which basically blew everything else out of the water, however good they were. Wow, 4 independent titles, 3 from Image, 1 from Dynamite Entertainment, and wow. I have to say, when I got my stack of comics this week, I really did not know where to start, and so I headed to Twitter and basically put out a plea, and the one that everyone's talking about, first issue from Image, East of West. Now, I was not going to pick this up. I'm not the greatest fan of Hickman. I don't particularly like his writing. I know a lot of people out there do, but on his independent stuff, kind of meanders a little and confuses me somewhat. I'm only a simple boy. And I hate westerns. I kind of grew up, my dad loving country and western music, and having to watch John Wayne movies every Sunday afternoon. Hate them. I will get a lot of flack for this, but I don't even understand the whole kind of cult following for Firefly. I don't even think it's that good. Don't hurt me. But my comic book guy said, give it a go. And I kind of flicked through it while I was at the counter. And it just kind of dropped on the page where we have 3 of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse when they just come out of the ground and they're kind of cowering over on that big 1-page splash page. And I was like, gotta get this. And I was glad I did. Oh, this Hickman might turn me on this one. He might make me a fan again. If you like westerns, if you like sci-fi, if you like barroom brawls, if you like badass Indians, mechanical horses, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, it's just got everything in there from a western to a sci-fi. It's got that kind of Kill Bill feel because there's a kind of a revenge story going on in here as well. The artwork by Dragotta, very nice. It's kind of a clean version of Fiona Staples, if that makes sense. The first few pages I got a very saga type feel, but it was kind of cleaner. So action-packed, lots of story, lots of plot in there, eager to know more. I'm glad I put this on my pull list. So definitely East of West is a firm pick-up. Go and find it. I'm sure it could even be the next saga. Who knows? Which one next? We'll go with Fatale issue number 13, and this is the last of those standalone stories from Brubaker and Phillips, and this time we're in Colorado. in 1883, and it's another cowboy. This time it's Black Bonnie, taking our kind of Josephine femme fatale role. And the great things about these, I mean, I've enjoyed these one-shots probably a little more than the actual story arcs that have gone before them. But part of the great thing about these one-shots is they've given you just that little bit extra information about our whole femme fatale, the history, what she's capable of, what she's not capable of. All we need to know kind of now is how all these women are connected, and what is that kind of one thing that can frighten, well, not frighten, but kill her. The whole cult followers, we need that a little bit more, because we've had them all throughout these one-shots as well. But it's just that teasing from Brubaker with those little extra history snippets that have just made these one-shots so perfect. The story is basically, we've got our Black Bonnie. She's now an outlaw, goes around, but she's not very good. She can't fire a gun very well, but she's always on the run, but at least she has her freedom. But we have an Indian come along, and somehow he's not affected by her womanly, wily powers. And kidnaps her for a professor, a kind of doctor of sorts, who takes her to what is basically the cult worshippers HQ. Not a good place to be when you're the one they're after, but she is there as a distraction while he nips off into the HQ to find a certain book. And there's a kind of twist at the end, about why the professor as well is not affected by our fatale. Just another great one-shot story. If you've not picked up Fatale before, the first two trades are available and they're pretty cheap from what I hear. Well worth picking up and catching up on the Fatale series before the next kind of proper story arc begins again next month. I thought I'd try Green Hornet from Dynamite Entertainment. I've never read a Green Hornet title before. I heard a lot of people talk about Kevin Smith's run, which was meant to be very good. Missed out on that. So, Mark Waid, Green Hornet, Dynamite Entertainment, let's give it a go. And I was pleasantly surprised. This, if you haven't read Green Hornet, this is a great starting point. Like myself, very new reader friendly. You find out about you find out about Brit, about his Green Hornet guys, his paper, his underground layer, his sidekick Kato, all his kind of gadgets, his car. And then there's that kind of twist at the end that he's a super villain. Now, I don't know if this is just something Mark Waid's thrown in here, or this is how he operates anyway, but Green Hornet acts like he is a supervillain to get in with the kind of the mob and the mafia, and find out what they're all planning. And then as paper proprietor Brit, he exposes them and helps the, like, you know, the police and the cops to go and catch them. You can see that storyline coming a mile away, where there's going to be some kind of that's a thin edge to be walking upon, and I'm sure that's going to get him into a lot of trouble along the way. But despite all this information that you're being given as a new reader, it doesn't sign of slack back at all. The pace is very quick. It's very action-packed. You get a lot of dialogue. It's a good read if you wanted to sit down with it. It's not over in a flash. And you just get brought in with all these very interesting kind of back characters, side characters along the way. The artwork, I kind of guessed it was going to look like this for one of Dynamite's kind of pulp type comic affairs. So I wasn't particularly surprised by it. I wasn't particularly wowed by it, but it was what I was expecting it to look like. If you're a fan of Green Hornet, get it. If you've not read a Green Hornet book before like me, pick it up anyway. Great title to start off on. Finally, Morning Glories hit its issue 25 and it gave us a bumper package with a season kind of finale. And this kind of promised to give us some answers, but we compare it every week to that programme Lost, but it just gave us a whole load more questions to be answered. What a great end to this kind of season, if you want to call it. That's what they're kind of calling it here. Nick Spencer he has tied in a lot of things that have happened over the last 25 issues. I don't think he's necessarily answered any of the questions, but we're a little bit closer. You certainly feel like you're in the shoes of many of the characters in here who are just wondering, what the hell is going on? Just explain to me. It can't be that difficult. But you kind of always get that answer. I can't tell you now. We must do this first. If we don't do this first, people are going to die. And then, of course, you forget about the explanation you wanted and just get on with the job in hand. Very exciting, very tense book. And like I said, it's a bumper issue, lots of pages, and only for $1 more. Image just made a very nice little tight book for us to finish off this season finale. Looking forward to what Morning Glories and Nick Spencer has ahead of us, because the plan that might not have worked in this, well, there's someone else who could possibly sort the whole deal out. And I think that's it. I'm done. What a great week of comics it's been. I'm exhausted. I'm exhilarated. When I got the pile yesterday and I was reading through them, I just didn't think the next comic could get any better. But they just got better and better, and I got more excited and more excited. Next week's going to be crap, isn't it? I just know. Anyway, have a great weekend. I've got my Easter bank holiday now, so I've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. I might get a couple more videos made if I'm not doing anything else more exciting. If this is your first time here, please hit the subscribe button, which is down there somewhere. Give it a big thumbs up and lots of comments. We love the comments. Thank you all for your support of late. Really appreciate it, as always. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.